This is Purvika. She is one of my closest friends from back home. Usually, when we hang out, we are trying to bake brownies together or we are at the beach soaking our feet in water. But also, this person does not exist, and that should scare you a lot more than it does. The internet used to make noise so that meaning could get through, and now the noise has become the meaning. This is the story of how that happened. That sound is a machine making noise so that meaning could traverse from one human to another across the dark. The machine announced its own imperfection. In 1948, Shannon and Weaver mapped the mechanics of communication: a sender, a noisy channel, and a receiver. For decades, the friction of the digital world sounded like this. The early web was built on editorial discipline, forced by the limited bandwidth and the insane amounts of compression. We waited minutes for a single image to load because we cared about what was on the other side. It had intent. The noise in such an environment was purely technical. It was ugly but honest. A photograph was proof that a human had stood in a physical room. The semiotic triangle remained intact. We trusted the signal even though the channel had its flaws. Then we optimized the channel. We made the pipe perfect, and that's when everything went wrong. With Web 2.0 arrived the promise of a transactional model. Everyone became both a sender and a receiver. We thought connecting everyone all at once would bring us closer together. But we handed the channel over to the machines, and the algorithm became our mediator. Under the old Wesley McLean model, human gatekeepers, which is editors and curators, were at least attempting to accurately represent events. Algorithms do not understand empathy, they do not understand nuance, but we stole the gatekeeping power from humans anyways. The Wendell Johnson chain dictates how communication flows, from reality to perception to language and then to interpretation. That entire chain is now being run by a system that optimizes every single step for engagement. Not accuracy, but engagement. This is where semantic noise takes over, the collapse of the context. The pipe got cleaner, but the signal got worse. Way worse. We started speaking a language of pure reaction. Look at these two screenshots from the same subreddit community. The base on which they stand is the exact same. But in these two different contexts, they take on entirely different meanings. The denotation is identical, but the connotation is obliterated and weaponized. We are forced in a constant, exhausting defense of our own intent. The pipe got cleaner, but the signal became a battleground. Consider the infinite scroll. In semiotics, meaning requires time to stabilize. But because the feed is literally endless, there is always an ex post, and your brain never reaches a state of interpretive rest. The human mind was not built to process an endless paradigmatic axis. The result isn't just wasted time, it is a permanent state of cognitive overload dictated by a machine. And machines don't understand empathy. You are caught in a current where the loudest, most extreme voices travel the furthest. Not the truest, not the kindest, just the loudest. Up to this point, the noise was still human. Messy, angry, exhausted, but human. What comes next is noise that learned to wear our face. Diffusion models invert the Shannon-Weaver framework entirely. They begin with random static and hallucinate structure. There is no actual source here, just the probable residue of human visual culture averaged into a model. It is the fourth stage of the simulacrum, a signifier utterly severed from physical reality, a signifier without a referent, a flawless index of absolutely nothing. Because generative AI can produce at infinite scale, the overall signal to noise ratio of our visual culture has collapsed. This isn't just a technical glitch. This is pragmatic noise at a civilizational scale. The signal gets through perfectly, but the intended response, our ability to believe in a shared reality, it's completely destroyed. We see a smile from someone who never existed, a tear that was never cried, and are forced into a parasocial relationship with an absolute void. Remember the portrait from earlier? It wasn't real. The cognitive cost here is profound. When we lose indexical truth, we are forced to adopt a state of permanent skepticism towards everything we see. We can no longer afford to trust our own senses. When AI fails to render legible text or hands, these aren't just mistakes. These are the rare moments the mechanism becomes visible. The rest of the time, the noise is perfect. And during the course of this video essay, I have used this exact noise that is killing our shared reality to make you feel something. By doing this, I have become a producer of referentless science. And you are watching this essay right now through probably an algorithmic platform that uses the exact same semantic noise I just warned you about. We are both inside the argument. The machine can measure the paradox perfectly, but we have to live within it. The dial up modem made noise so meaning could get through. What's making the noise now? And who is it screaming to? The algorithm just wants us to keep listening. And to do so, it is now screaming at us, trying to mimic the sound of a human soul, desperately hoping we won't notice the difference.